morning, and I think that's swell. Because Dad needs that Wheaties energy to help him get through the old ball game, the way he hustles when he's on the field. We sure wouldn't want him to skip his Wheaties, would we? And it could happen. He's a pretty busy man. So keep setting him a good example, won't you? Keep eating your Wheaties and milk and fruit, and keep Dad eating his. Just tell him this if he happens to forget. Say, Dad, see how Wheaties at 7 can help at 11, huh? Thanks, boys. Thanks a lot.
Tonight, I didn't have to look for my story. It came over the teletype. A few lines of cold, impersonal print that told that a man had died. Charles Keller died today in the state penitentiary. Keller served 14 years of a 20-year sentence for armed robbery. The clacking stopped for a moment, as though the machine were taking a breath. Charles Keller. I thought of his wife, Molly, a quiet, patient woman who worked here in the building, scrubbing floors. Then the teletype started up again, writing a finish to a man's life. Keller died, still denying any knowledge of the $65,000 payroll robbery, a sensation of 14 years ago. Keller's death deepens the mystery of the money, which was never recovered. Well, that was all about Charles Keller. The teletype faded as I walked from the room to the elevator and down to the lobby. Tim, the night watchman, came toward me.
Evening, Mr. Stone.
How are you, Tim?
You're starting out kind of early, ain't you?
I guess so. Where's Molly?
I don't know. When I come on tonight, she wasn't here. Why?
Her husband died today.
Yeah, I heard it. Who's going to scrub the floors if she don't show up?
Who'll scrub the floors? Well, there's the sanitary viewpoint. She didn't send word, sick, or anything like that?
Not that I know of. She just ain't here, that's all.
Okay. You know where she lives, don't you?
Sure. The first night she's missed in 14 years. Funny, ain't it?
Oh, sure. Very funny. Give me her address. I'd known Molly for as long as I'd worked on the Star. At first, people had pointed her out. Molly Keller, Charles Keller's wife of a convict. But she scrubbed her floors and said nothing. Once a month, she'd go to visit her husband. And then the years passed, and Molly wasn't the wife of a convict anymore. She was just a scrub woman. But now her husband's death would bring it all back. There'd be those awkward attempts to be kind to her. And if I knew Molly, she wouldn't want that. That's why I went to see her.
Help you, mister?
Yes, I think so. Molly Keller lives here, doesn't she?
She ain't here now.
Well, where is she?
What's your name?
Stone, Randy Stone.
Wait a minute. That don't sound like any name she put down.
What?
You said Stone, huh?
Yeah, Stone.
I can't tell you where she is.
What have you got there?
Well, nothing you want. Now, you go away. I gotta get some sleep.
Yeah, in a minute. Look, I'm Randy Stone, Chicago Star. Here's my press card.
I don't care about that. Molly gave me $50.
She did what?
Mister, you ain't one of the names, so I can't tell you where she is.
But I'm a friend of hers, and I've got to see her. Her husband died today, and I...
Oh. I didn't know that.
Well, you do now. Tell me where Molly is.
Well, Molly, know about her husband?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, but when you see her, don't tell her it was me that told you.
All right. Where is she?
Lake Drive Hotel.
Huh? The Lake Drive? Are you sure?
You asked me, I told you. Now, that's all.
The Lake Drive Hotel, swank and plush. Visiting royalty had to show their crowns before they could get in. So I went there. I walked through the lobby, past the diamonds and the furs, and up to the desk where a clerk with a Harvard accent and a Vassar personality looked me over.
May I help you, sir?
Yes, I think so. I'm looking for a woman named Molly Keller.
Is she registered here, sir?
I don't think so. Molly Keller is, she's a scrub lady.
I beg your pardon?
A scrub lady, one of the great army of working people.
I suggest you try the servants' entrance.
You forgot the sir.
If you'll excuse me.
Yes, this is important. I want to find Molly Keller.
The servants' entrance?
You're wasting the springtime of your youth repeating that. Now, all you have to do is go to the phone and check with the employees department, find out if there's a Molly Keller working there.
Very well. One moment, please.
Thank you.
Hello. This is the desk. Is there a scrub woman working here named Molly Keller? Thank you.
Well,
There's no one here by that name.
maybe she used the name Mrs. Charles Keller.
Sir?
Mrs. Charles Keller.
But we have a Mrs. Charles Keller registered here.
Registered?
Certainly, in the Royal Suite.
The Royal Suite. When did she check in?
Really, sir, I cannot give out information about our guests.
Yes, all right, all right. Will you call her or tell her I'd like to see her?
One moment, I must check something first.
I hate to see you patter back and forth on your delicate little feet. What's up now?
Your name, sir?
Stone, Randy Stone.
Well, I'm sorry, sir. That is not one of the names Mrs. Keller gave me.
She gave you a list of names, too?
No one but these three men were to be shown up under any circumstances.
Well, ask her if she'll see me, Randy Stone. She knows me.
Very well, sir. One moment.
The clerk went to the desk phone. I told myself the woman in the Royal Suite couldn't be Molly Keller, not at $100 a day plus tips. I half expected the clerk to come back and tell me Mrs. Charles Keller didn't know me.
Mrs. Keller, there's a gentleman here to see you. No, not one of the three. Well, he says his name is Randy Stone. Yes, Mrs. Keller, I'll send him up. Mrs. Keller will see you, Mr. Stone. The Royal Suite is 4A. The elevators are in the alcove to your right.
Thank you.
The elevators are...
Oh, thank you. I'll walk up. The air might clear my head.
Oui, monsieur? Oui, monsieur?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Randy Stone. Mrs. Keller.
Oui, Monsieur Stone. You will please come in.
Thank you.
I will tell Madame Keller you are here.
All right, Colette. I heard him.
Oui, Madame. In there, Monsieur. The sitting room.
Thank you again.
Hello, Randy.
Hello, Molly.
Will Madame wish me any more?
No, I'll call the service desk when I need you.
Merci, Madame.
How'd you find me, Randy?
Did I?
But you're
Yeah, I know. I'm here, but are you?
What do you mean?
What do you think I mean, Molly? Or should I say, Madam Keller?
What do you want?
I don't know. What are you doing here?
I live here.
Since when?
I registered tonight.
Uh-huh. That clears up the whole thing. You just walked in here and registered at $100 a day plus a French maid. What is all this?
Please go, will you?
Yeah, in a minute. This came over the teletype about an hour ago.
Charles,
Yeah.
they notified me.
You're not going up there?
Charles is dead. Why should I go up?
Look, there's something wrong. This doesn't make sense. I've known you for a long time. I've watched you. A woman for whom I had a lot of respect because she had a lot for herself.
A woman who broke her back and her hands for 14 years while her husband rotted in prison.
While you stuck by him.
Because I was a fool.
Well, then why didn't you divorce him?
Oh, I couldn't.
You couldn't? Why not?
Please go now. Don't ask any more questions.
Why not, Molly? Why are you afraid to have me ask questions?
What do you want, a story?
No.
Get out.
Molly,
What?
where are you getting the money for all this?
It's got nothing to do with you, Randy.
But it has everything to do with you and your husband.
He's dead.
Molly, that money from the robbery, the $65,000.
Leave me alone.
You know where it is, don't you? You've known for 14 years.
You don't know anything about it.
You've got it.
Get out.
Okay, Madam Keller, I'm sorry I called on you. I was looking for Molly Keller. It's the wrong number. Goodbye.
You're going to the police?
No, I won't have to. Another thing, Molly. I read about the case. There were other men in that robbery. You think they'll stand still and let you get away with this? There were 3 other men, Molly, and they...
They what?
Those names that you left with the landlord and the clerk.
What about them?
Who are they?
All right, Randy. You want a story? I'll give you one. Here. The names and addresses of 3 men.
So?
You want a story, and I'll give you one. The biggest you've ever had. A murder story.
Murder?
Yes. You go to these men and tell them about me. Where I am. How I'm living.
If they're who I think they... No, I won't. It'll be your murder, Molly.
No, Randy, not mine.
Then whose?
I promise you, you'll find out before tomorrow.
General Mills is bringing you Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
You know, tomorrow can be a real nice day. The sun can seem shinier, the air can seem crisper, the grass can seem greener. And you can get more enjoyment out of living if you want to. Break into that day with a bowl full of Wheaties. That's what I said. Wheaties with milk and the kind of fruit you especially like. Or Wheaties with milk and no fruit. Or just Wheaties. You think that's going pretty strong on Wheaties? Not really, it isn't. Because Wheaties are whole wheat. And what a powerful lot of whole wheat Wheaties are. Every Wheaties flake, a whole kernel of wheat. That's why a bowl full of Wheaties pops with so much high-stepping, day-brightening energy. Energy right after you get up from the breakfast table. Energy all morning long. Wheaties have it, and it's for you. Whole wheat goodness. Of course, you don't have to think about vitamins and minerals when you eat those Wheaties. Just pass that milk, fill that bowl, pull up a spoon, and get Wheaties happy. It's the easiest thing in the world to do, spooning into sunny, whole wheat Wheaties. Try 'em for an awfully nice start on that nicer day I've been talking about, tomorrow. See for yourself how Wheaties at 7 can help at 11. Breakfast of champions. Breakfast for you. And that's a promise. Indeed it is.
And now back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
That was all I got from Molly, a piece of paper with the names and addresses of 3 men written on it. I left her, I headed for the street, and I walked around thinking. A couple of times I started to toss away that paper, but it stuck to my fingers. A couple of times I headed for the precinct police station and stopped. What did I have? 0. What could I get? A story, she said. Okay, Molly, let's see. The first address took me to a Harry Campbell, a gimlet-eyed pool hall tout. I interrupted his game.
Newspaper, huh? Well, what gives?
Let's get away from the table.
Say it here, Mr. Stone, ain't it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, go ahead. 9-ball, corner pocket.
This is about $65,000 and Charles Keller. You missed the shot, Harry. It was an easy one.
Yeah. Take my cue, Eddie. I got something to do.
Yeah, sure. Steady.
Okay, you, come on. Now, what was that you said?
$65,000.
Keep going.
14 years ago, there was a payroll robbery. The money from it was never recovered. Somebody has it, Harry.
Why tell me?
I thought you'd like to know.
Why?
Charles Keller said he didn't get the money.
Oh, now, look, you come in here, give me a fast chorus about 65 G's I don't know nothing about.
But you're interested.
Anybody's interested in that much dough.
That's what I mean.
What's your angle, Stone? How come you found me? How come you knew where to find me?
Molly Keller told me. You don't know her, huh?
No.
Well, I thought maybe you did. Anyway, I interviewed her at her suite at the Lake Drive, and
Where?
The Lake Drive Hotel. She's registered in the Royal Suite, French maid and all. Yesterday, she was scrubbing floors.
You better go, Mr. Stone.
Okay. I'll see you around, Harry.
Yeah. I'll be waiting up for you.
Name number 2 was Bob Olson. He wasn't home, but I located him in an all-night beanery. He was behind the counter.
What'll yours be, mister?
Coffee.
Sure. Black?
Yeah.
Coffee black. Sugar?
No, thank you, Bob.
I know you.
No, not yet.
How come you know my name?
Bob Olson, that right?
Yeah. How'd you know?
Oh, psychic, or maybe Molly Keller told me.
Huh?
I just come from Harry Campbell.
I don't know him.
Nor Molly Keller?
Never heard of her.
Mm-hmm. You just don't know the right people, Bob, or you'd know all about $65,000. Bob Olson played it straight, too. But there was the same look in his eyes I saw in Campbell's. Hard and nasty. I left him with the same information I'd given Campbell. And then I headed for the third name on the list, Jim Humphreys.
Yeah, what do you want, Buster?
I'm looking for Jim Humphreys.
What for?
Is he here?
That depends. Are you a copper?
No, I'm a reporter. Randy Stone, Chicago Star.
What do you want?
You're, Mrs. Humphreys?
So I had bad luck. What do you want?
Who is that, Kitty?
A guy with a tie on. Nobody you'd know.
Oh, yeah? Who are you? What's the pitch?
The name is Randy Stone, Chicago Star.
What's the newspaper guy got to talk to me about?
14 years and $65,000.
Jim, what's he talking about?
I don't know yet. Come on in. Kitty,
What?
get in the other room, close the door, and stay there.
Listen, I want to know what's
Shut
going
up.
on.
Now, go ahead. Get in the other room. Now, what's with you, Stone?
Charles Keller died in prison today. That mean anything?
No, never heard of him.
Never heard of his wife either, huh?
No. Hey, what are you doing?
Looking around. This isn't the best place in the world, is it, Jim?
It's good enough.
1/4 of 65,000 is about 16,000. You didn't get anything, did you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, everybody is innocent. Olson, Campbell. You know them, Jim?
No.
Well, I guess Molly Keller sent me on a wild goose chase.
Molly Keller?
Yeah, she's living at the Lake Drive. For 14 years, she scrubbed floors while her husband was in prison, but now she's...
Jim,
Get back in there.
I ain't. You heard what this guy says. The Lake Drive Hotel. She's living there.
You flathead, shut your trap.
I won't. Do you hear me?
I'm telling you, get back in that room and stay in
Me,
there.
I've been living in this crumb joint. Look at me. Mister, you look at me.
I am kidding.
So I'm ugly,
No,
huh?
not at all.
No, I ain't. But I gotta live in this trap. Me, I could have had lots of things, but I ain't. I've been taking this guff because he tells me that someday...
Keep it shut, I tell you. Keep it shut.
I've been keeping quiet for long enough. For 5 years I've been keeping quiet because you told me that someday
I told you. Now get out of here. Get in the other room.
Now, wait a minute.
Keep out of this, you. Kitty, you heard me.
Just a bird in a cage. And not a gilded one.
Mister, I don't want to hear nothing else from you. Now, you got a couple of seconds to get out of here before I slap you all over the neighborhood. Now, what do you say?
Oh, it's clear. Okay, so long, Jim.
Come back again, and I'll kill you.
Well, there I had it. 3 men who knew about the robbery, who'd like to get their hands on the money, but who had to stay undercover and keep quiet until... Until what? The answer to that lay with Molly Keller, and I wanted the answer. 20 minutes later, I was back at the Lake Drive Hotel. This time, I didn't go to the desk. I slipped through the lobby, up the stairs, and down the carpeted hallway to Molly's suite.
Randy.
Hello, Molly. Want company?
Yeah, come in.
Oh, you've already got company.
Take it easy, Stone.
Yeah, guns forced me into a sort of composure, Olson. Molly.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks for sending him here.
Sit down again, Molly.
Of course, Harry.
Now, once more, where's the dough?
You expect me to tell you, Bob?
You will or else.
Molly, if you got any sense at all, you'll tell them they can't get away.
I know.
You're crazy. Why did you let them in?
I wanted to. Bob Olson and Harry Campbell and Jim Humphreys. Where's Jim?
Never mind him. Now, listen, Molly. You ain't gonna get hurt if you know where the money is.
No.
Molly.
First one, then the other, like 2 jackals. I knew they'd come, Randy.
Where is it, Molly?
Not yet, Harry. There's still one more to come. Jim Humphreys. When he gets here, I'll tell you.
You'll tell us now.
No. And if you kill me, you'll never find out. Will you? You'll never find out. You had to make a deal with each other. Now wait and make one with Humphreys. Randy,
What do you want?
how long ago did you leave Jim?
20 minutes?
He should be here by now.
We ain't waiting, Molly. We ain't waiting.
Campbell, you
Stay
filthy...
sitting, Stone. Watch him, Bob.
I am.
Molly, we ain't kidding. We ain't kidding. All right, Molly.
It's no use, Harry. You can do anything you want to do. You won't find out anything until Jim Humphreys gets here.
And there we sat, Campbell, Olson, Molly, and I, and the minutes ticked by. I watched Molly. She never took her eyes off the two men. There was no expression on her face but hate. A bitter hate that could almost be felt. And then...
It's been an hour. We ain't waiting no longer.
All right, Harry. I guess Jim isn't coming.
Molly, you're going to tell us. Now.
Yeah, I will, Bob.
Stay sitting, Molly.
You want the money, don't you, Harry?
You got it here?
Over there. I'll get it for you.
Go ahead. Bob, watch this guy.
Right.
You waited 14 years for this. 14 years. So have I. All right. Here. Here's the money. Take it. Take it, Harry.
This bank book? What are you giving us?
The money. Take it.
Why, you stinking. This is your bank book. And nothing. No money.
14 years of saving for this minute, don't you see? I never had the money. Charles never had it.
Don't give me that. What about this joint?
The money for all this was mine, penny by penny, dollar by dollar. I saved for this moment.
You're lying, Molly.
Look
You're lying.
at that last withdrawal, Harry. $512 taken out yesterday to pay for this, to bring you out like jackals.
Where's the money, Molly? Where is it?
14 years ago, 3 men got $65,000 in a robbery, but there was a fourth man who had nothing to do with it. He was framed by one of the other 3.
You're nuts.
No, Bob, just a little smarter than you. The man who framed my husband was smart, too. He made you believe there was a fourth man who got the money and hid it. Now, think back. The money was hidden. Then it disappeared.
You're lying, Molly. You're lying.
Am I? If I'm lying, where's Jim Humphreys? Why isn't he here? You two are, but he isn't, because he knows where the money is. He's got it. He's got it.
Humphreys.
You know where he is.
Yeah, we know where he is.
Well, then get him. You'll have to kill him, but that won't make any difference, will it? Not for all that money. Get him.
Molly, if this is a frame, so help me, we'll get you.
Find out, Harry. Go to him. Get the money. It's yours, isn't it? Get it. You waited 14 years, afraid to ask, afraid to talk, but now...
What about him? Stone.
He won't stop you. He won't stop you because I won't let him.
Harry, watch her.
He'll stay here. Go ahead, Harry. Bob, I can use a gun, too.
Molly, this better not be a frame.
You'll find Jim Humphreys and the money.
Come on, Harry.
I guess you would shoot me, wouldn't you, Molly?
If I have to.
And this is my story?
Yeah. Please don't get up, Randy.
You're sending 2 men out to kill a third. Why?
Because this is what can build up inside of a woman for 14 years.
It'll help your husband, won't it?
Don't come near me, Randy.
So Jim Humphreys will be killed. What about you? You're as much a murderer as they'll be.
And glad of it.
Molly, give me that gun. Let me call the police.
No.
It's not too late.
It's always too late. It was too late for Charles. He died. No one helped him because he had a record. No one believed him.
It's not too late, Molly.
Don't, Randy, don't.
Killing will help, won't it? One man's death will bring back those 14 years, won't it? It'll make everything all right. Oh, sure, an eye for an eye. That's why the whole world is going blind. Kill or be killed. Live in a jungle.
Shut up.
Join the pack, Molly. Run with the jackals. You're crying, Molly. Why? Why?
Let me alone, Randy.
Molly, I'm going to the phone, and I'm going to call the police.
No, don't.
You can shoot if you want to.
Oh, please. Please don't, Randy.
Take your choice, Molly. Be like those 2 who just left, or be yourself.
I know what I want. What I've waited for.
Yes, 14 years you've waited. It's a long time, Molly, a long time to build up an act of violence. One that can't bring back a single day or change a minute that's gone past. You got what you want. Those 3 men live in fear and hatred, mistrust and suspicion. Now tonight you gave them in 1 hour the bitterest pill they could swallow, the realization that they've wasted 14 years. You didn't. You knew. That 1 hour is all you need. Go ahead and shoot if you want to, Molly. Hello, get me the police, quickly.
All right, Randy. All right.
Welcome back, Molly. Well, there's the story of Molly Keller in 14 years. But it's more than that. It's a story of people. Mix them up all you want, put them in any situation. And what they do depends on what they are inside. You can't change that. Maybe it's all to the good. Gives a guy a starting point when he begins to wonder how things will turn out. For all of us. Copy, boy.
You are listening to Night Beat on the Wheaties Big Parade.
And here's our star, Frank Lovejoy, with a string around his finger. What's that for, Frank?
Oh, that's for Wheaties. I've got to get some before I go home. We're out.
Out of Wheaties?
Yeah.
How'd it happen?
Well, the kids, you know.
Oh, the kids ate 'em up?
Well, no.
Oh, you had company.
Well, no, doggone it. I ate them up myself. I had a bowl full of breakfast this morning. It was so good I had another bowl full. First thing I knew, I'd finished the box.
And then you forgot to say you'd done it.
How'd you know?
It's happened to me. Get 2 boxes tonight, Frank. It's the only way.
Okay, I'll do it. Night.
Good night, Frank. And don't...
Check, check, testing, 1, 2, 3. Oh, fuck it. Good morning, world.
How are you?
I'm here. I'm weird. Get used to it.
Yeah, baby.
All right. I have my coffee. I have my bong hits. And I have you. Ah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Oh, and I was wrong yesterday. We didn't have 2 houses. We only had 1 to clean. They kept pushing another night on one of the houses, so I got confused. Yes. Let's see. Oliver is in here wandering around. Come here, Oliver. Come here and say hello, Oliver. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come on. There you go. That's my good Oliver. This is Oliver. This is Oliver. He is a pretty little boy. Yes, he is half Chihuahua and half Great Dane. He's a mini Great Dane. He is just the sweetest little boy. He's just the sweetest little boy. Yes, he is. He's just the sweetest little boy. Oh, he is such a good boy. I'm okay with doggy kisses. When you're, good morning, Joey. Say good morning, Joey. Good morning, Joey. He makes the funniest little faces. Hi. Hi, little guy. Hi, little Oliver. Okay. That's a good boy. That's a good little guy there. You want to get back down? I know. There you go. Yeah. You're working tonight and tomorrow night? This is unusual. They really working you. Really gonna get that raise out of you. Have you even gotten the raise yet? So basically, you'll just work us till we die. You'll just work us to death. Yeah, basically, we are here to pump you up, to make you work, and make you like it. Hear me now. Oh, I need lots of coffee this morning. So, today is a Flashback Friday. And today we are going to be talking about teenage night moves and teenage nightmares. Alright? And before we get started, the album of the day is Nick Gilder. You know who you are. This is a demonstration copy. As it says right up there, not for sale. Nick Gilder. If you remember, Nick Gilder is famous for Hot Child in the City. That's the name of his famous Fancy Pants song. And it ain't on this one. So there you go. When I first heard Hot Child in the City by Nick Gilder, I thought it was a girl. In fact, for decades, I thought it was a girl singing. You're choosing to come in. Oh, good for you. Good for you, man. Get that extra time in there. Don't let them put you on salary. Don't ever go on salary. Salary is just another word for slave. I've been on salary before. When you're on salary, you're at the beck and call of the company all the time. No, you got to stay. No, you're on salary. You got to stay. No, you got to come in early. You got to do this. You got to do that. The only time that I was on salary that I ever really profited from it was working for my friend Dan. He owned a plastics manufacturing company, and he had me on salary, but he would overpay me. He would give me salary, and then he would bonus me, just because he was the sweetest guy in the world. So that was the only time I really benefited from being on salary. And it was just a thing. He put me on salary just as a thing, so he could say he had a guy on salary. And then he knew that I was working a lot, so he just bonused me out all the time. One of the big bonuses, of course, was a Disneyland pass. Yeah, you don't want to move up. You don't want to go on salary. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. That's where they get you. They give you this position, and they make you think that all of this prestige is worth something, and it's not. And basically, they're taking, as soon as they put you on salary, they're taking money away from you. Because they're going to work you longer. They're going to try to get more out of you than they're paying. That's just the way it is. It's just, politics in big corporate America. Move them up, put them on salary, and then just use the hell out of them. So, when I was a little kid, I used to have these reoccurring nightmares. It all started when I was about 4 years old. That long ago. And the first reoccurring nightmare was a reality nightmare. It was of when I was about 2, and I was locked in a chicken pen with chickens pecking at my feet. And I was locked in, and my brother was outside the cage telling me all I had to do to get out was to eat this ice cream in his hand. And the ice cream in his hand was chocolate, but it wasn't chocolate ice cream. It was a big dog turd. And I am in this chicken coop getting tortured, and here comes my mother to the rescue and got me out of there before I had to eat a turd to get out. So there you go. I had that reoccurring nightmare until I could manufacture my own dreams, right? But that was the thing, because that was my torment. That was my trauma when I was 4 years old, was remembering that. So that would be my dream until I was about 5 years old. And then my dream became really weird. We lived in Sierra Madre Canyon at the time. It's about 1972, 1973. I'm about 5 years old. I don't believe I have started school yet. So I'm not going to start school until I'm about 6, because I didn't turn 5 until after the start of school. So here I am, dreaming in this little cabin in Sierra Madre. And what's horrible about this dream is that it was a waking nightmare. Okay? The nightmare was me lying in bed looking through my bedroom doorway. All right? The room dark, the doorway light coming through this doorway. And in the doorway stood a figure, a dark silhouette of a figure. And the figure loomed in the doorway. And as I sat there in fear, unable to get words to come out of my mouth as I scream, I'm just, mouth agape, trying to scream to get someone to notice this dark figure in the doorway. People would come into the doorway and ask me what was wrong, talk to me, and leave, but they did not see this figure standing right there. It was just like a shadow. So as they came in, they would just walk right through the shadow and talk to me and then walk right out, right? So that's the dream that I had. And it was the same dream every night, night after night, for years, and eventually decades. I had that dream over and over and over and over. Some nights I didn't even want to go to sleep because I knew I was going to have that dream. I knew that I was going to be confronted with that dark figure in the doorway. Now, the thing is that I always associated that dark figure in the doorway with a movie that I saw later, right? It was a movie called The Mummy with Boris Karloff. See, there you go. Now, is it something that we saw when we were younger, or is it our brains interpreting something that happened via a figure in a doorway, right? It wasn't a dream, right? See, that's the thing. I'm wondering if what I saw was a memory of somebody creeping into my bedroom from the rest of the house. My parents used to have these huge nightly parties, right? Our house was like the party house in Sierra Madre Canyon. So they would just show up. People would just show up because they were looking for drugs. And that's what my parents did. They sold drugs. So on occasion, we would be in a house filled with people with our parents gone, right, there would be strangers in the house looking after the kids who were asleep. So looking at it that way, is it possible that my reoccurring nightmare, that particular reoccurring nightmare, was possibly a memory of someone creeping into our bedroom that I shared with my brother? Was someone creeping into our bedroom to do us harm, or some nefarious, dark, perversion? I don't know. I'm not going to go to, like, hypnotic reversion therapy or anything. That would be fucking cuckoo. Let someone get inside your head and start poking around. No, that's dumb. That's obviously a bad reason, because if you're not remembering something, you're either too young to form the memory, or you're not supposed to remember because it's too traumatic, right? And then you get those guys who go in and fuck with your head and start turning dreams and memories of fictional events into true memories. So you think these are real memories, and they're not. They're just this shit that is just kind of a pile of different things, stimuli from your past, that a hypnotist can turn into a real memory. So no. Don't let people get inside your head and start fucking around unless they know what they're doing. And hypnotic regression, hypnotherapy shit, that's not real science. I'm sorry. If you think it's real science and you're out there going to regular therapy sessions so that somebody can bring up past memories, they're just loading you full of shit that's already there and is probably a compile of memories about stuff that really has nothing to do with your life. And because you'll go to sleep at night, right, and you'll have this movie in your head, and you'll have the thoughts of what had happened to you during the day that you saw that movie. Plus, the movie made you think of a time period in your past, right? And you take all of these things together and you turn it into some kind of fantasy memory. How does that help you, right? How does it help you to look at others through the lens of some distorted, fucked up, half-assed dream that your therapist has now turned into a real memory, right? Whether you were ever in that place or with that person, it don't matter, They're going to get their $2 out of you, and you're going to get some, oh my gosh, some fantastic revelation about your past. Yeah. You were never Bonnie Parker. You never went out with Clyde Barrow. All right? You were never shot up. It wasn't a past life. Hypnosis, regression therapy. Oh, Lord. I dealt with the dreams on my own. I had these reoccurring nightmares for decades. And what did I do? I dealt with them on my own. I would literally hope they would come back so that I could have these dreams again and investigate the dream while I was there, right? There was this time when I was having this dream about hang gliding, living in Lake Elsinore in the 70s. Hang gliding was a big deal. But I didn't have a hang glider on. And I pretty much was like Superman. I was just soaring across the sky and then realizing where you're at and what's happening, and that you don't have a hang glider or a parachute, and then you fall. And then you're falling and falling and falling and falling and falling. The thing is that normal people would hit the ground and wake up. I used to hit the ground and bounce. and I'd hit the ground and I'd bounce, and then I'd be I'd be soaring upwards, right? And I had that dream forever. The same place, coming off the hang gliding point in Lake Elsinore, bouncing down on the highway and shooting up again, passing the hang gliders. I also had this reoccurring nightmare from the late 70s, early 80s that was really weird. I was in a dark place. It was dark, but it was all black, but it was light. There was some form of light in this dark black room. So I was illuminated. I wasn't just eyeballs in a dark room. I was illuminated, and I was in this dark place running. And that's the dream, is me running in this dark place. But I'm running on a conveyor belt. It's this long conveyor belt that goes off into nowhere, and I can't see what's behind me. It just goes off into darkness in both directions. And in this dream, I'm running. I'm running. I'm trying to run as fast as I can, but my feet keep sticking to the conveyor belt. And the conveyor belt is pink, thick, deep, and puffy taffy. Pink taffy. I'm running or trying to run on a conveyor belt of pink taffy, and it keeps pulling my feet in as I run. So I'm barely at a walk, just trying to keep up with this. And that's the entire dream, is me running on this conveyor belt made of sticky taffy. And it was a horrible nightmare. One of the worst. Because I don't get anywhere. I don't know what's going on. I can't think. I can't see. It's just me and this not going anywhere. Right? And a lot of these dreams are so literally prophetic about what is happening in my life at that time. What's going on, what has happened, what is going to happen. And it's me confused. All of my nightmares are me being confused as to what the hell is going on. And I had these dreams off and on. The figure in the doorway, the running through the taffy, the jumping and the falling, and several other nightmares. For the longest time, they would come and they would go. I wouldn't have them for 10 years, and then all of a sudden I would have this dream over and over and over again. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. I assumed that there was something going on in my life that caused me to have this dream, but I didn't know what the dream was about, or what? Why? Please. So, long about the time that I started smoking marijuana full time, I started to not have those dreams as much. In fact, I started to dream less. The insomnia really took over when I got into junior high. And, I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't focus during the day. By the end of the 7th grade, I was just ditching. I was just not going. I would ditch school and go sleep under a tree somewhere, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, long about the time that I'm starting to smoke marijuana and starting to be kind of at peace with my nightmares, I start having interactions with people more and more. I'm in the 8th grade, and I have ditched the last 6 weeks of 7th grade. I spent a summer kind of living alone with my family. They lived in a school bus, and I lived in a barn next to the school bus, up in a loft that I created. A bed in a loft on some boards, basically, with a makeshift curtain. I didn't even have sheets on my bed. I mean, I had like a blanket and a pillow, right, and a little table. And I think I had a little wind-up clock and a little candle, and that was it. That was my room, you know, living in a barn with the elements all around me, a dirt floor below me, a barely shingled roof above me. I could look up through the cracks in the roof and see daylight. Because it was a barn, it wasn't roofed like a house. It was just wood shingles on top of strips of wood. That was it. There was no tar paper. There was no seal. So when it rained, I got wet. I would go into. I would avoid going into the bus to sleep because there was just no bed for me in there. Right? It was just. It was set up for 4 people, not 5. So I slept in the tent trailer, and I slept in the barn. And that was the beginnings of understanding that I wasn't the same. I was different. It was obvious I was different. I was being treated different at home. I was being treated different at school. I was being treated different when I went out in public. Everything that I did in my world, I was completely different than everyone else because I was treated different. I never felt different. I never saw myself as different. Not that I looked at myself much. But I was sure as hell treated different. I never knew why for the longest time. It wasn't until my father passed away a couple of years ago that I figured it out. I finally figured it out. You know, I also figured out that I'm never going to get to know any of the real truth behind who I am. So that in itself is a nightmare, right? Right? Oh my God, I get sick of listening to my own voice there. But it does keep me on track. It reminds me that yeah, you're on, and you need to keep talking. And you need to not go, Anywho, once I got into junior high school, in the 8th grade, I started actually making friends. I discussed yesterday, or Tuesday, when talking about Cheers, that the first time I heard the Cheers theme was at a kid's house in the trailer park that we lived in on the lake. And I stayed the night at his house, and he was asleep by 7 or 8, right? So I was up in bed, straining to hear and watch what was happening on TV. And it was Cheers, and I had never heard that theme before. I had never heard those voices before, because my parents didn't watch that show. When Cheers first came out, it was a dud. It was a flop. Nobody really got it, right? Took a little while to catch on. But that kid right there in that trailer park, and I, for the life of me, I don't remember his name. He was my only friend at the time, and he was literally an acquaintance, a trailer park acquaintance. You know, hey Mom, there's a new kid in town. Can you stay the night? Sure. Basically, that was it. So, after I left his house in the middle of the night, we were no longer friends. He was really upset that he got up the next day and I wasn't there waiting for him, right, to get up and watch cartoons or whatever. And so he no longer liked me. And that's just the way it was, you know. But he couldn't understand that I was, first of all, I didn't go to sleep at 7 o'clock at night, right? I stayed up and watched TV with my parents until they went to bed. That's how it worked. And then quite often, I would come back out and stay up half the night watching TV while everybody was asleep. So he didn't get it. He just figured I dissed him, you know, and lost a friend there. But in junior high, I actually made some friends. In the 8th grade, I made a couple of friends just because I was different and they were trying to break out and be different from the molds that their parents had placed them in, right? And I was mold free. I was not made in a mold. I was not born to conform. So there were a few kids in school who were actually like, you know, okay with me being who I was, basically because I was different, right? And they wanted different. You know, they'd listen to different music. They tried to dress different. They tried to talk different. And I was different. So I got kind of absorbed into a group of kids because I was different, and they were trying to break out and be different. And it's kids like that usually go overboard and become a little too different and get into the bad stuff because, hey, I'm going to be tough. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. And it usually gets them into trouble. Or they just wind up in this lifestyle of, you know, let me just keep fucking up. And I wasn't like that. I was just different. I was just a different kid. I wasn't out to get into trouble. I wasn't out to, you know, make a name for myself as the cool kid. But there I was in junior high, actually having a couple of friends. And one of the friends that I met in the bathroom. The picture is still vivid in my head. The bathroom, the lighting, the sound, him in there, and me asking him, hey, you want to buy a joint? And of course he's like, well, what kind is it? And I'm like, it's pot, man. I don't know. And I said, well, fucking meet me out after school and we'll talk about it, man. So we met after school and we blazed the doobie. And then he was like, hey, man, so my parents go out to work at night, and why don't you come over when they're gone? And I'm like, what? Yeah, I said, we'll stay up all night. And I'm like, oh, all night? All night, huh? So I was hooked. I was hooked by somebody who wanted to stay up all night, right? Because that was my bag, baby. That was my bag. And as it turns out, he invited a couple of other kids from his grade and the grade before us and the grade after us. So he was inviting kids from the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. He was in the 7th grade. I was in the 8th grade, and he had friends in the 6th grade. So, and the 7th and the 8th grade. So there was kind of a little cross section of junior high kids. And we literally would meet in a bush outside of his house and wait until his parents drove away. And then he would run up the driveway and say, hey, come on. And we'd all run up to his house and run inside. And it was party time, and it was on. Let me heat up my coffee before I get into this. No one knows who she is or where she came from. Well, a little while ago, my wife went to the restroom and took Oliver back into the room with her. So I'm out here alone again, naturally. Naturally. Ah, yeah, baby. So, good morning and cheers. Man, I can't believe it's the 27th of fucking June. It is just moving on. We're halfway through the freaking year. At the end of this month, we'll be halfway through the year. I've been working on uploading stuff. So I've got a bunch to upload today to catch up. I've got a bunch of, what is it, Gildersleeves, I believe. I think I'm at Gildersleeve. Sam Spade. Right now I'm doing Sam Spade, and I've got 2 Sam Spades loaded and 6 to go. And then tomorrow I'll get into doing some Gildersleeves. And what I'm also going to be doing this weekend is working on the 4th of July. So far, it looks like I'm going to be live on the 4th of July for most of the day. I am going to create a bunch of elements this weekend and load them on to YouTube so I can get my quality checks to find out if they're copyright, and then create a file of copyright-free stuff that I can play live on my show. So I'll be doing a kind of a movie day all day long, and we're going to be watching stuff that is 4th of July related, America related, immigration related, that kind of thing, because all of that's America. So we're going to do that on the 4th of July, a week from today. Unless something happens family-wise or work-wise that keeps me from being here, that's the plan, Stan. Guido. I think it's Guido. So yeah, so that's the plan for next week. Next week is going to be a regular week, but on Friday, the 4th of July, it's going to be an all-day thing. I'm going to get done with the morning show, and then I'm going to take an hour or so. I might take a nap and come back after that. It just depends on what my schedule looks like. But for the most part, at some point during the day on the 4th of July, I am going to be going live for no less than a couple of hours, and probably a great deal longer. I'm also going to be showing, displaying, sharing, and discussing the bicentennial year and my favorite things from that year. Mainly the bicentennial. The whole idea of the 200th birthday of America, to me, when I was young, was really cool. And I thought that was really neat. And I loved that everywhere you looked, there was something bicentennial, right? There were, I don't know if it was bicentennial, but there used to be these giant pennies. They were just a big, giant copper penny. Lincoln penny with the wheat on the back. And you could get these big, giant pennies, right? I would love to own one of those big, giant pennies. I don't remember where they came from or what they were. They were some kind of gimmick or sales deal, or, you know, if you went and if you purchased on President's Day, you got a nickel or a Lincoln penny. I just don't remember where they came from. I'll have to research it. The big oversized penny. What a cool thing. But there was a lot of really cool stuff in 1976, not just on TV and in the movies and on the radio, but in advertising. Everywhere you looked, there was 1976, bicentennial. All building up. So half of 1975 was going, yeah, birthday's coming. I don't know what the country has planned for America's 250th birthday, which is coming up in a year. A year from next Friday is the 250th birthday of the United States. What's the country going to do? They didn't do jack shit for the 100th birthday of the Hollywood sign, which just passed. So, you know, what are they going to do? How are we going to go about it this time? Is anybody ready for it? Did anybody care enough to plan something? I don't know. I don't know, baby. It's all geek to me. So back when I was a teenager in the 8th, 9th, 10th grade, back when we were doing this, my friend whose house we used to go to and party at, it became a regular thing, right? It became a regular thing during the 8th grade. Yeah, it was the 8th grade, and then into the 9th grade. And then the bummer was that in the 9th grade, I kind of lost track. I kind of lost touch with my friend Andy, because he was still in the 8th grade and now I was in the 9th grade. And while we were still in the same town, we were now in kind of different cliques, right? And he was in kind of in the 7th and 8th grade, he was a bad boy. So he was placed in a bad boy class. And he was stuck with one teacher all day. Could barely go out. I was lucky I met him because we met in the bathroom. But in the 9th in the 9th grade, when I was kind of now with just a couple of kids from junior high that had moved up, I was kind of in a different clique, if you will. I had moved out of the junior high thing and into the high school thing. I had a bunch of friends that were still in junior high, but it just didn't work, right? We would run into each other here and there occasionally. But for the most part, I was making new friends. And it was a real bummer because while we did hook up on occasion, we didn't really start hanging out together again full time until his brother passed away, Big Mike. And when he passed away, it was just a huge devastation to his family, to his friends, to the town. It was a really heavy deal. It was really tragic. And I found out that what had happened, like the day after. And it had happened late at night on New Year's Eve. So one year he was alive, and a few minutes later the next year he was dead. And that was just so... It was a drunk driving thing. He was making a left turn, and a drunk driver decided to pass him and just took him out. And it was over. And all I could think of was, I got to go over and see Andy. I got to go see Andy. I got to go see him. I got to go see him. And I had been away from my house, from my family, for about a year or more, where I hadn't really been... I was kind of living with them off and on. I was homeless. I was staying with friends a lot. Occasionally I would go home and I'd stay for a night or two or a week or something, and then I would be out of there again, right? And I hadn't seen my parents more than just occasionally in like a year since I was in the 8th grade and got into a scrap with my mom, and I was done. So I got in touch with my parents. I don't remember how. I think I called somebody who got in touch with them, and I just said, hey, look, Andy's brother died. I need to go see Andy, and we need to go pick him up and take him and go get high. And so my parents picked me up, and we drove over there. I called. I said, hey, come outside. We're going to come pick you up in a few minutes. So we drove over there. We drove up the street. I got out. I went in. I got him. Came back out. We got in the van. And we didn't talk. We didn't do anything. We just drove around the lake. And me and Andy sat in the back and got high. And my parents were up in the front. And that was it. And we got high. And then after that, I believe that they took us back to Andy's house and dropped us off, and I hung out with Andy for a while. And then I was pretty much a permanent fixture around there from then on. What was really weird is that my brother's name is Robert. My name is Michael. Andy's brother who died, his name was Michael Robert. And I don't know, it was weird to find out that, but it was like I just didn't want to leave Andy, right? I just didn't want to leave him. So I stuck around a lot. Went to the funeral, came back, stuck around after the funeral, and then was kind of away for a while because his stepfather was a real dick. And he didn't like all these kids around, so we just didn't come around. But after a while, he started to go back to business as usual, being a dick, and Mom was fed up with it. She was fed up with the way he treated her, the way he treated the kids, the way he treated the household, the kids' friends, and that kind of stuff. And she just said enough's enough, and they separated. He left the house, and a bunch of us kids moved in, basically. We would show up for parties, and Mom would come home from work and be happy to see us. And so we wouldn't leave, and we wouldn't leave, and we wouldn't leave. And we would start finding things to do around the house to make it worth us being there. And I got into doing painting in the house. I got into building things in the backyard. We would go to Home Depot. Home Depot was a new thing. Home improvement was a new thing. And Mom was really into expressing herself in the house. She had a completely purple bedroom. She had purple this, purple that. She loved purple. Her car was purple. The car was the same color as her purple nail polish. It was beautiful. And I also built her a bar. I built a big, giant L-shaped bar in her dining room. We turned her dining room into a bar so that she would come home straight from work. Rather than get off of work and go into the bar and hang out for a couple hours, we wanted her to come home and hang out. So we built her a bar. And the first morning that she came home from working all night at the casino and found her bar, right, we made her a big drink, right, a big giant Crown Royal and ice with raspberry popsicles stuck in it. That's how she had her drinks. And so we were always trying to get her to come straight home just so we could hang out, because she was just the most awesome chick. And with that, I'm going to do a bong hit. And she was okay with whatever we did, right? She knew we weren't rowdy kids, and by allowing us to do what we wanted, we were actually doing less harm to ourselves and staying out of trouble. Yeah, baby. So them Nightmoves, man, we used to do a lot of partying there. Really. That house became known as the house. You know, their last name was synonymous with parties. I won't use a last name. But, you know, you going to Andy's house for the weekend? Yeah, Brother Jim's going to throw a rager, man. And it was great because it was all inclusive, right? It was be like, yeah, the kids are coming. But it was okay because there'd be various age groups of kids who were like a couple of years out of high school to a couple of years before high school. And there was a huge range. Before, when it started, it was the older kids going out the party and leaving Andy at home. So Andy, usually being grounded and unable to leave, he would just invite friends over. Right? He would get in trouble for stuff like talking back, not cleaning up his closet, which was his bedroom, talking to the wrong people, dressing wrong. He would take his little motorcycle, his little Yamaha 80 motorcycle, and he would steal it from his own garage and ride it to the junior high school to go to school, and then ride it home, right? And that was illegal. But he, he would have missed the bus, and he's got to get to class, so he would ride that motorcycle. And it was funny until his brother passed away from dying on a motorcycle, and then it wasn't cool for him to even be close to a motorcycle. All the motorcycles left the family immediately, which didn't make Dad happy because he was a motorcycle guy. He kept his, but he moved on. The rest of the kids, motorcycles were done. No more motorcycles in that house. And Andy, he actually had a motorcycle that he got from my brother and father, a little Honda moped motorcycle thing that he was riding because it was the only transportation that he had. And I remember he got into an accident and he rear-ended somebody who just stopped right in front of him, and he fucked up his knee and he fucked up this motorcycle. And I think at the time he was borrowing it from Robert or my father. But he fucked up his knee, and he had to hide the injury from his mother and the fact that he was on this motorcycle. And he never got on a motorcycle again after that because he loved his mother too much and couldn't put her through that. Yep, but we had a lot of night parties at that place. One evening, I don't recall if it was before. I believe it was after the divorce and after Michael had passed away. But we had this acid party, LSD acid party, at his house, and it was a multi-clique deal. It was older junior high kids to kids who were just probably in their mid-20s, right? So there was this huge 10-year range of... Now, when you're older, 10 years, from your 30s to your 40s, 50s, whatever, it don't mean nothing. But when you're young, a 10-year gap is huge. So we got young kids partying with older adults, right? And that in itself was weird. I'm surprised more crazy shit didn't happen. But that house was really, really... It was a mellow feeling being there. So even when it was at its craziest, it felt okay. And so once we're having this acid party, and it's like middle of the night, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and it's just going on all night long. And most of the party is taking place in the house. But it spills out into the garage, spills out into the driveway, a little bit into the backyard. That was pretty much kind of a slope, a fenced-in slope with a lot of weeds. And I remember hiding in that backyard before, sneaking up through the back of the neighborhood and into the backyard and waiting in a gopher holes and weeds and stuff. But that acid party night, there were just people all over the house. Everybody was on acid. There was every room had something going on. People listening to music, people watching TV, people drinking, people smoking, people screwing, people partying. It was, it was a regular party, but just about everybody was on acid, right? We also had a big tub, like trash can, filled with, you pick up a brand new trash can and you throw in a couple of blocks of ice and a couple of things of the fruit punch concentrate and water to make it to the sweet point, and then you just start adding in bottles of various types of booze, right? And we called it Particle Life because we also threw in chunks of fruit. So it's fruit punch with like a homemade fruit cocktail, chopped up melons and oranges and limes and just anything that's got some juice in it, we're throwing it in here. Plus, everybody that shows up brings a bottle and pours it into this thing, and we mix it up. And we're using a ladle and doling it out into plastic cups. So you got your choice. You can have some booze or beer out of the keg, some acid, some pot. It was just a crazy night. And the thing that I remember vividly about that night was being on the roof. If you go up the stairs, all right, the living room is here. A small short staircase goes down into a dining room, kitchen, and the lower level that actually has an entrance into the garage and out into the driveway. The driveway slopes up. It's a huge sloping driveway, right? So from this living room level, you step down into the dining room, kitchen, and another bedroom, bathroom, garage. Or you go up a staircase, a large staircase, right, to the second floor of the house, which is actually the third level. And underneath that staircase is a closet. That closet is where my friend lived when I first met him. He lived in that closet because there were only 4 bedrooms upstairs and 1 bedroom downstairs. There was enough bedrooms in the house, but Dad had to have one of the bedrooms downstairs turned into a music room where he kept all of his stereo equipment and his private office, right? So Andy had to live in a closet underneath the stairs, just like fucking Harry Potter, I swear to God. You know, decades before Harry Potter even existed. And at this point, he had his own room upstairs, and you'd go up the upstairs to the top, and at the landing was a hallway, an L-shaped hallway, you know, and a window that went out onto the garage roof, right? So if you went out this window, you stepped out and over, and you were standing on the lowest part of the garage roof. If you walked up to the highest part of the garage roof, you now were confronted with just a 1.5 foot step up to the lowest part of the highest roof. So it's the middle of the night, 3 a.m, we're frying balls on acid, and a couple of us are out on the roof up top, ripping shingles off of the roof and taking them and using them like frisbees and hurling them out across the neighborhood. The neighborhood is on a hill. So if you hurl it straight out, it's going to get so much distance before it comes down and crashes into somebody's house, car, personal belongings. So this is one of the worst things that we did as kids, was senseless vandalism. And it was senseless vandalism of our own property. It was my friend's house, right? And he was a party to this. And we thought it was the funniest thing in the world to just, okay, everybody be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. And we'd launch that fucking thing, and everybody would just be fucking super quiet, and we'd listen. And then you would hear it crash off in the distance into something. And everybody would just fucking laugh. And people would come out and go, what's going on? What's going on? Shh, 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 shh. Smash. What the hell was that? And then you rip a piece of shingle. It's like, my turn. And you sling it, you know, and the right size piece would just sail forever. I mean, just go forever. And then it was crash. It was great. It was beautiful. And that was that was probably the first time that I took acid in a big setting like that with a lot of people around, who everybody else was on acid too. The first time I took acid, me and my friend Chris, neither of us had taken acid before. And so he's like, you know where to get some acid? And I said, no, but we can go ask somebody. So we went to see this couple, this biker couple, Dave and Joanne. And we had lived with Dave and Joanne in the bus outside of their house next to that big barn that I lived in, right? And we had since, everybody had since moved and moved on, and we're living in different places. And I was not living at home. but I knew where they lived, so we drove out to Meadowbrook, halfway to Meadowbrook, from Lake Elsinore, out on Highway 74, and we drove around this neighborhood to get up on this hill where they had their trailer or little house or something. So we went up there, and I went in and talked to them and got a couple of tabs of acid. And then Chris and I drove into the neighborhood. We couldn't do it at his house. We couldn't do it near his house. I didn't have any place to go. So we drove over to the neighborhood, and we parked his car in the neighborhood, and we went into a pepper tree. We went under one of those big pepper trees that's like an umbrella. We went inside of there, and we had cigarettes and some weed and this acid. So we each took a half a tab of acid. We split it up and each took a half a tab and sat there and got high and smoked cigarettes until we started to feel something different. We started to feel the color change, and the leaves started to act different. So then from there, we walked through the neighborhood, and we walked past Kendra's house. And we noticed that her and a friend were in the pool splashing around. So we, of course, a couple of guys, we show up, hey, what's going on, dudes? And she's the coolest chick in the world. And her parents are the coolest people in the world. So we just kind of show up and get invited to hang out in the pool. And it's fun. And we're on acid, but they don't know it. So we're acting kind of silly, right? But they don't, until later when we each took a half a tab. She's like, oh man, you guys got any more? And I think we did. I think we had another tab between the two of us. But we were saving it. So we hung out in her pool. We hung out outside the pool. We hung out in her garage where she had a pool table and a stereo. There were always some beers to drink and cigarettes to smoke. And her parents were usually gone. And we could hang out. I remember hanging out in her bedroom, laying on her bed, looking up at the ceiling. And the ceiling were those square tiles, right? And the square tiles were doing this. Ooh, they were kind of bouncy, right? So I'm looking up, and the square tiles are kind of doing this. And I look over at Bullwinkle. Her lamp is Bullwinkle next to her bed. And he's like kind of looking at me, and he's kind of doing a kind of a moving thing, because nothing stays still when you're on acid. Everything kind of has a wave to it. So inanimate objects can look alive, you know. And of course you throw in a little imagination, and Bullwinkle's like, hey buddy, and I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. So I got up and went out, and I think I jumped back in the pool, got refreshed a little bit, went back into the garage and hung out and smoked some cigarettes. And then it was like, man, we gotta go do something. We can't just sit. And so we took off, and eventually, after walking around the neighborhood for a while, got in his car and took off. By then we were pretty much just on that. After you get through the hallucination part, it's more of like a speed high, right? So we were at that point. Totally, man. Yeah. But Andy's house, middle of the night, middle of summer, was awesome. When it was just his mother there, that house was the place in town. There were a couple of places in town that were like the place to be. And her place was like top on the list after hours, right? When Mom was up and she was out on her way to work or at work, that place was jumping from 9 to 9 every night. Yeah, Char, she was the most bitchin' woman. She has since left us. Rich and Charlotte were another house where everybody was welcome, and we would all go and hang out. Richard has since left us. Pam's house, Brett's mother's house. she was a person that would just welcome you with open arms. She was the sweetest person in the world. She has since left us, as both of her sons are gone. The whole family's gone. Yeah. Time has a way of stealing things from you. And people. And more time. So, yeah, Teenage Nightmoves. All three of those places there, all three of those houses were, I remember so often being at one of those houses during my teen years, either late at night partying, early in the morning stopping by Char's house to hang out with her while she has her coffee and cigarettes and rolls joints for the day. And I would just, can I buy a couple of them joints from you? And I'd spend a couple of dollars and get a couple of really nice joints from her. And at this point, in high school in the 9th grade, I wasn't worried about selling joints to get lunch money. Lunch money be damned, right? I was more about having some doobage to make me feel normal, right? So I would smoke one of those joints on the way to school with a friend. It's like, if you're the ride, I'm the high. And we'd go to school, and by the time we get there, we were fucking loaded. And that high would last me most of the day. And then after school, I had that other fucking doobie. And it was like, all right, who's giving me a ride, right? Yeah, baby. I used to leave school early just to go get high. It's like, all right, there's nothing going on the rest of the day for me. I got this class in PE, and I don't give a fuck, so I'm out of here. And I would just leave. I'd just walk off campus and walk into the groves and be gone and just disappear. And, you know, the school was in the middle of an old rural neighborhood, right? So there was nothing around except houses and groves and stuff. And if you walk a couple of blocks down a street through an orange grove, there was an old market that was literally had been built out of someone's garage that had been there forever. I mean, it's just this old little shitty market that you could go and kids could buy cigarettes and you could buy beer and snacks and stuff. It was just an easy school back then. It's all super different, changed, and it's more like a prison. God, the comparison between the prison life and the school life is like, it's like a mirror image of each other. It's fucking crazy. Wow, it's after 6 a.m. here on the Pacific West Coast. It is June 27th, 2025. I've just been sitting here talking about being a teenager, and earlier, nightmares. But I remember at this period, when I was homeless in my mid to late teens, having nightmares and having new reoccurring nightmares, you know. The thing about being homeless when you're a kid is there's a lot of fear and uncertainty involved, right? But when there's more fear and uncertainty at home, it's actually a relief. So when I was homeless, living with basically strangers, you know, the parents and the families of some of my school chums, it was sometimes easier, and I would have a better peace of mind, and I would be able to sleep better than I would at home, you know, because I was well fed, and I was wearing clean clothes, and I was clean myself, and I had an actual bed to sleep in, and somebody asking me, hey, are you hungry? Hey, are you okay? Hey, is there something wrong, right? And I didn't get that kind of shit at home. So, in some cases, being homeless was a lot easier than just going home and enduring, right? Oy. My siblings know. They all both left home at an early age, about the same time I did. Within a year, or so of each other, we all just decided to just leave. I was the last one. I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? My sister, she lives next door with her best friend. My brother just comes and goes and stays gone for weeks at a time, and nobody gives a shit. My mother's a fucking psycho and she hates me. What am I doing here? And I just decided to walk out one day. Granted, it was during a fight that we were having, and it was either, you know what, walk away, or you're going to wind up in some kind of juvenile, you know, correction facility. Because we were about to throw down. My mother and I were about to just dive into each other's faces with fists flying. And I didn't want that. I didn't like her, but I didn't want to kill her. And like I've said before, when I was young, and even today, I have a hard time stopping when I get pissed off. So I knew that past experience with my father and not being able to stop during normal father-son horseplay, you know, that I couldn't go get in a physical argument, confrontation with my mother. It wasn't going to end pretty. So I just screamed in her face and turned around and grabbed my shit and walked away. And I never really stayed at home again while she was there. Once my father and her split up and separated, then I found myself going back and staying with my father a lot. But not while my mother was around. It was obvious, it was quite obvious that she hated me. I mean, just flat out hated me. She would just look at me with rage in her eyes and want me dead. And I used to see that from when I was a little kid. And it never dawned on me that she just, you know, that it wasn't that she just hated me, but that she didn't want me around. It wasn't until later, most recently, that I found out that she was out actually trying to have me aborted, right? By doing drugs and partying and screwing around and just being a whore, right? And it was like, okay, so if that's the case, then, and she was pregnant with me at the time, and then after I was born, I was put into a foster home because she didn't want me. There's something there, right? And she had told me a number of times, I hate you, right? You're just like your father. And I was nothing like him because from what I could detect, looking back at the past, he wasn't my father. He was just my father, but not my actual physical father. And that's what was the wedge between them, was that somehow she had me and she didn't want me around. So much so that they had given me up before my father came back from Vietnam. And they had to go back and get me, right? Which is why my last name is what it is. My last name has nothing to do with anything except for those were the people who took care of me for a brief period. So I had a lot of nightmares growing up. A lot of nightmares. And they all pretty much started from, you know, when I was 2 years old. In fact, that house that I was at, it was in Altadena, and I'm pretty sure it was in the same neighborhood, if not the same house, as the people who took care of me. Because my mother, she had my brother, and she couldn't take care of my brother and a newborn. Right? Right. I think I was almost put up for adoption. And at the last second rescued by my father because of what he had gone through in Vietnam. He couldn't see me just being abandoned, right? So, you know, good on him, but at the same time, what a fucked up thing I was into, you know. I was just in a fucked up way. And the thing was is that I always knew that there was something screwy going on. I just never knew what. Because nobody ever told me the truth. They always alluded to shit, right? Alluded to a rape baby that was non-existent, right? I was that baby. You know, who was the father? That was always my question, is who was the father? Her father? I'm going to have to heat up my coffee. And then we're going to get into the last 45 minutes or so of the show. And we're going to keep talking about teenage partying, because I got a lot of teenage party stories. Oh, pardon me. I'll be right back. Let me heat up this coffee again. Yeah, early on, during teenage night moves, when we were in junior high, and and it started as just a bunch of us youngsters, right, with the balls to take over the house while mom and dad were gone. And after a while, well, especially after stepdad was out of the picture, the older siblings in the household started to have friends over and do parties and stuff, right? So there was always this mix of older kids in their mid-20s to these younger kids, 14, 15. And it was always just, sometimes it was weird, right? Like there would be older kids who was like, what the hell are these kids doing here, man? We don't want no little kids around, you know, we got beers and stuff going on. How are we going to do cocaine with little kids around, right? Yeah, those guys were dicks. Yeah, as we got older, the kids from junior high who started this, as we got older and moved into high school and then moved on out of high school and into continuation school, we were kind of changing with that, right? But at the same time, we were okay with the younger kids coming up, and we would take care of the younger kids. Not like, you know, hey, let's take care of them, man. We would look out for them because they were younger siblings of the rest of us, right? My sister was one of those. She came to one of the parties early on, one of those nighttime parties, basically because my sister and I were pretty decent friends when we were younger, and so one night I took her with me to one of these overnight parties at Andy's house, and I snagged some, like I usually did. I'd snag a big bag of weed from my parents' weed drawer, and this time I just took it and I stuck it in her purse and made her be responsible for this, so that when we got to the party, right, and we were hanging out with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at this party, right, that they were like, what is this 5th grader doing here, right? It's like, oh, my sister, she's cool. Well, yeah, what makes her so cool? And she'd open up her purse and pull out a half ounce of weed and throw it down on the table and smile. And that's what made her cool. And that's what's like, yeah, right on. So that was, but we were kids. That's what we did. And we would put away pretty much that whole bag of weed that night. Right? It would just be, weed this. There'd be kids passed out all over the living room. The kids who weren't into smoking weed, who would smoke weed, and they'd be like a couple of hits and they'd be passed out. And they'd be done for the rest of the night. Right? And we'd just chuck a blanket on them and walk away. And by the end of the night, by the early morning, 5, 6 in the morning, that whole living room would be filled with kids passed out, right? And there would be a couple of us still awake, me and usually one of the other kids or one of the other girls, right, would be still awake. And we'd kind of be straightening shit up because it would be time to go soon. And there would need to be people still awake and coherent to say, hey, it's time to go, everybody. Dad's going to be home soon. Mom's going to be home soon. We got to go. Yeah. The food. We used to make trips down to Circle K. Kids would run down to Circle K. We'd have like older brothers and sisters, hey, could you take us down to Circle K or something so we could get some food? Yeah, whatever. Or Andy would steal his motorcycle and take off and go get something and come back. Quite often we just made do with what was in the house. There wasn't usually a whole lot of food in the house. They usually shopped from day to day with a bunch of stuff in the freezer, a few things in the fridge, and a cupboard full of the usual cupboard stuff, right? So often I was responsible for food, right? What are we going to eat? Sometimes we would just thaw out some hamburger and like make tacos or burritos or whatever was easy, depending on what was in the fridge. If there was tortillas, we were making burritos. I remember making donuts. I remember making donut batter, and dropping them in oil and making these big old-fashioned cake donuts, right? Because that's what we had. We had stuff to make donuts, right? And I was the food guy, so I would have to come up with these ideas with whatever we got in the house. What can I do with what we got? And feed a bunch of us. Sometimes it was thaw out a bunch of steak. Hey, where'd all the steaks go? Andy get beat up. All of his steak. You had your friends in here again, huh? No more steaks, damn it. We would just raid the house and just mack down everything. And then raid the liquor cabinet. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We would have a ball. But usually we'd all bring party favors. And we'd hang out. And mainly act like kids. And watch a lot of TV. We watched a lot of HBO, Showtime, that kind of stuff. Because it was late at night, and there always were great movies on late at night, Fridays and Saturdays, which is when his parents were always out working. They worked at casinos, so their best nights were on the weekends. So they were always gone. And we would hang out all night long and watch these great fucking movies that weren't on during the day, and you couldn't see in the theater a lot of times, and a lot of them we didn't know about. We didn't know about a lot of these movies that we'd get to see, like what was it? The Peter Sellers movie. There's no running in the war room, that movie. Yeah, that one was one that, it was like, what the hell is this? This is bizarre. There's that guy again. The main one that really took us over was this one here, Over the Edge. This movie here on the wall with Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon's very first movie, Over the Edge. It never made it to the theaters, so we first saw it in like 1982, 83, I think it was 82, at Andy's house on HBO, and it was amazing to see all of these kids rebel against an entire town, right? It was like a call to freedom, you know, Braveheart, freedom. And while we weren't violent kids, it did kind of fuse us together, right, as a cohesive group. And we would absorb other kids into our group, and we would just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So there would be different cliques and different factions, but if there was a party, all of them would get together in one house, and it would be intense, right? Because we were all a part of the same town, but more than that, we were a part of something that at the core was Andy's house and those parties and those, you know, late night get-togethers. If you ask anybody in town who lived in town during that period, you know, and you mention that last name and that house, the street name, the Zeller house, right? If you mention that street name and that house, or one of those parties, 9 out of 10 people are going to know what you're talking about and who you're talking about, and we're there at one of those things, because they were so big sometimes. There were hundreds of people. They were so big that they would move, right? They would move from little parties, right, across town, would all of a sudden at the end of the night congregate and become one giant party. Or one giant party would end in the middle of the night and wind up over at this house and turn into something completely different. It was great. It was great. There was usually like no violence, right? It was usually, if there was a fight, it was a fight to end the fight. It was like bang, bang, that's it, done. Everybody go away, right? Everybody go to your separate corners. Fight's over. Party continues. And usually it was the older brother who would just step up and say, no, this is my house, my family, my party, my friends. Are you done? And some people would have to be carried away, and some people would have carry grudges forever over shit like that. But, you know, eventually people knew that if you were coming over to party, you were coming over to party, you know. There's no sense for that other shit. Weird stuff would show up. You know, people would show up in the middle of the night. Hey man, what's going on? There's these guys chasing me, man. I don't know what happened. I was at a store, and then all of a sudden these guys started following me, man, and now they're screaming and yelling, chasing me, and now they're right outside. And everybody just run outside and just, you know, pull these guys out of the car, beat the fuck out of them, throw them back in the car, and send them down the road. And God, that would happen so often, where people would get into a scuffle, a situation, and they would just drive up to this house, knowing that if there was someone home, they were going to come out and Rochambeau, it's over, you know. So, yeah. Doily, I went to shake the jug of coffee creamer this morning, thinking that it was unopened. I thought it was still sealed up, and it wasn't. The lid was open, and it splashed. Just shake, shake, splash everywhere. And now I got a spot on my shorts. I'm glad it didn't get my shirt. My Deftones shirt, but it did get my shorts, or my pajamas. But it's Friday, so I won't be wearing these tomorrow. No siree. Today, I believe we've got to go clean a couple of houses. I think that house is finally going to be empty. So we're going to go do that this morning. My daughter is taking off this morning to go to her friend's house, and then from there they're driving out to Inglewood to the Kia Forum, formerly known as the Fabulous Forum, the LA Forum, and they're going to go see Sleeping with Sirens opening for Pierce the Veil, if I am correct. I'd ask Joey, but I'm assuming he's asleep at this point, and I hope so, because it's late. He works a lot. So that should be fun, and they're coming back here afterwards, and her friend's just going to stay here. So that'll be so cool. I'm so excited for her to get to go to the forum and play. And it's her old stomping grounds now. She's been going there for 4 years, since she saw Harry Styles there in 2021. So that's awesome. She's seen a lot of shows there. She's seen Harry Styles twice at the forum and once here locally. She's seen Paramore, the 1975. I don't know, other stuff, and now she gets to see Pierce the Veil there, and she really loves Sleeping with Sirens. So cool. There is an alarm. I don't think it has anything to do with anything this morning, so I'm not going to worry about it. And if it does have anything to do with anything, well, it's only 6:30. It don't. So let's see. We've pretty much gone over everything we were going to talk about today. Teenage night moves, man. There was a lot going on. I remember when it was 3 households that were kind of like the main places in town. 2 of them were located relatively close to each other. One family up on a hill who had been in town a couple of years. Their house was kind of because the dad was semi-separated, and the other half of the family was in New York. So this half of the family was here, and it was kind of a party house, you know. Dad let the kids they were the older kids, so he let them kind of do what they wanted. So I would hang out there a lot, and we would have, you know, parties and stuff. And then down the street from there, Rich and Charlotte's house, that was just a beautiful place because everybody just felt so comfortable, right? And it was great for me because I didn't know many people who were like the people I knew back in Sierra Madre during the hippie days back in the early 70s. And this was just the same feeling, right? So that's why I loved to be there. And then there was Andy's house, where we could pretty much be ourselves all the time and party, and it was just so many people could gather there. Yeah, it was, what a time. What a time. We used to go driving around late at night. It was different. There were fewer people on the road, fewer police, and we would just take to the back roads, hit the dirt roads. There were fewer paved roads, and we would just cruise around, whether we were getting high or, you know, drinking or whatever. But we were just cruising around on the back roads, cruising around, staying out of trouble, trying to avoid the law, trying to get from one place to another. on occasion you'd have to come out onto the main roads, and then just try to avoid, any, okay, there's some lights coming, there's some headlights coming. All right, everybody, be cool, be cool. Yeah. Those were the days. Those were the days. Let's see here. I am just going to buzz into, what you call it. Hard drives. Hard drives. Hard drive pictures, hard drive pictures. Okay. That's not right. Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can grab some pictures of those days. And, slides. Oh. Slides. Scanned family photos. 1920s to the present. There we go. There we go. Let's go to 1980, 81, 82. Okay, so during 1982 is when we started going and doing these parties. It was sometime in 1982, and I was in junior high in the 8th grade. I was older than everyone else, so I should have been in the 9th grade, but I'd gotten held back in the 4th. So at this point, I am in the 8th grade, and I look like this. And this is when I meet Andy, right? And Andy looks like this. And he's in the 7th grade. He's fresh out of the 6th grade. He's still kind of young. And I'm a year older than him. I think he had gotten held back at some point too. So, because he's just a year younger than me. But, bad kid, good kid. So he met me in the bathroom, and I tried to sell him a joint. And this is what he saw, right? Yeah. So from then on, we were friends. He looked at me and probably thought, "Oh my God, this dude is just bizarre," right? The house up on the hill, which was actually referred to as the Marshall House, or up the hill, and I was kind of a regular around there because I didn't have a home, right? So this is me and Michelle, and she and I dated for a brief period. Yeah. Look at that scruffy dude. Look at that grubby dude. I would love to get this shirt reproduced, or find this shirt, the Grand Prix of Ballooning, and I don't know what the year is, but I would love to see if I could find that shirt again. Wow. It's right around Christmas time. So that would be right around the time New Year's Eve. This period here, this year, is when my friend's brother's going to pass away, and things just really change. All right. So I've got some pictures here from 1984, and the house in question, my friend Andy's house, who became a regular spot for many of us, mainly due to the good nature of his mother and the generosity of his mother. That place became a central hub for a lot of us. And during that period, we've seen these pictures before, but during that period, we took a few photos. So this is of that period in 1984, and from about 1982 to about 1990-ish, 1991, that house was still a place, and even that household. So if the household moved, we kind of moved, right? So let's see here. There I am. Hi, I'm here. So let me do this. There we go. All right. So this is me and Chris. Chris lived at Four Corners, and I lived with Chris. The girl in the last picture used to date with Chris and another guy. And then I came into the picture and she started dating me. I dated her for a brief period, and then I became close friends with Chris, and of course she moved on from me because, you know, what's the point? I'm me. And right? I never blame another person for moving on from me, because I don't blame them. So here's us looking badass. And we hung out a lot together. I lived with him and his sister and his mother off and on for quite a few years, as I did with quite a few families back then. I just kind of inserted myself because I had nowhere to go. And, you know, I in a lot of cases, had to take advantage of other people's generosity just so that I could exist and make sure that I could go to school, because I wanted to go to school. You know, I think this is at the beginning of the school year. You can tell by my brand new Levi's here. And I probably had to go stay at home to get these, or just at least went home and said, hey, I need school clothes, you know, and then would talk them into buying me something, or give me some money. Or I would go to the swap meet and sell nuts. I'd go sell walnuts that we hand collected, right? And then buy clothes at the swap meet. All of that stuff that I'm wearing there is from the swap meet, except for maybe even including the pants. To be young, right? So, yeah, look at all this new denim. Look at all that new denim. So, my newfound cuteness has enabled me to kind of hang out more and more with girls, right? And this is Heather. She was a very awesome chick. I don't know what ever happened to Heather. I saw her on Facebook years ago and sent her a message, but she hadn't been on Facebook in years, so I don't even know if she got the message or knows who I am, right? Let's see. There's Chris, there's Andy, there's me, there's Heather, and there's Richard. and Richard lived right there in that neighborhood. This is Heather's car, her and her sister's car. I don't recall who was taking the pictures, but it's outside of the same house, all of these pictures. Yeah. So here is another one. Look at that. All these new shoes and new clothes and new denim and stuff. Totally, man. So, depending on what I'm wearing, I don't know what I'm wearing on my feet. If I'm wearing the same things that he's wearing, then I'm wearing his clothes. More than likely I'm wearing, if I'm wearing parachute pants, they're Andrew's parachute pants. If I'm wearing Nike high tops, they're Andrew's Nike high tops. I existed on wardrobe accessories from my friend Andy because I didn't have crap. And he usually had an overabundance of stuff because his family, while they were just the run-of-the-mill family, his mother worked a great job, and she had more money and his father, and so they were able to take care of the kids a lot better, right, than say my family, who had crap, and parents who really didn't care enough to go out and do anything. So, thank you, Andy, Andrew, and that whole family, all of those families who took care of me and took care of us, you know, because boy did we need it. There you go. Let's move on over to another. So this is us guys, a close-up of us guys. There is, there's James, and there's me, probably wearing, this is probably Andrew's members-only jacket. Pat, the girl in that first photo, Michelle, this is her brother. He's no longer with us. Thankfully, these two guys are still around. I don't see Chris much anymore. He lives upstate, doesn't get on Facebook, doesn't really do the old time travel thing like I do. So, you know, whatever, good on him. This is me and Chris cruising through the neighborhood. This is the Four Corners neighborhood. This is the this is one part of town. There were a couple of parts of town that were like main places of interest, right? Just cruising around, looking cool. Chris, he could pull off this thing with no shirt. Me, I had this really weird looking chest. My chest poked out like this. It's like literally like my heart was enlarged, because from what I was told it was. My heart was enlarged, and it was a little bit bigger as I was younger until I grew into my chest, and I actually got boobies so that my chest wasn't like just, we used to call it my alien, literally. It was an alien because my chest just protruded out so much. So I couldn't pull that off. I still can't pull off no shirt. But boy, Chris could. Looking cool in my swap meet shirt and Andrew's parachute pants. And I dare say that I'm wearing a pair of his Nikes. Let me go back here and see if I can see them. Yeah, it looks like a pair of high tops. They're probably his. Or a pair of high top shoes that I got from the swap meet, right? My hair was almost white. It was bleached so much, right? It's not as, nowhere near that now, but it used to be really light. When I was really young, it was almost platinum. Hey. This is Ballsack here. We refer to him as Ballsack. I don't know who that was. I just don't remember. God, that's not Mike, is it? Anyway, there's me, and there is James' sister, Tony, and there's my brother, Robert, and his cool earring. Yeah. That's cool, baby. Hey, there is another kid from the period, Blaine. I talk to Blaine every once in a while in messages on Messenger. Hi. I miss Blaine. I wish I could see Blaine. And then sometimes I wish I could see these people, and then hope I don't, because I'm afraid that they've changed so much that we're not going to get along, right? And that scares me. I love this guy. He went through a lot. He went through a lot. Between this picture and now, he's been through a lot. And he's a strong dude. And I love him. Ah, there's us again. This is the far shot. This is the window that I used to look in the morning, and I used to tap on the window and peek in at Tracy's mom, Charlotte, and she'd be in there, sitting there drinking coffee, rolling joints, big tray, papers, and she'd just sit there and roll joints one after the other, and just sit and roll joints. I think she used a machine. And I would just tap, and she'd wave me in, and I'd come in, and a cat would bump up against me, and I'd have to push a cat off a chair and sit down. And then usually I didn't have to ask. She'd be like, she'd just push a couple of joints forward, and I'd offer some money, and usually she'd say no. And then I'd hang out and talk to her until Gary would drive by in his van, and he'd just pull up, right? And so then I would just go outside and jump in the van, and we'd just drive around the lake picking people up and getting loaded. And then in the evenings, on the weekends, we'd wind up over at Andy's house doing the nighttime party thing. It was great. Great. Another shot. I don't remember who owned this car, but it was there, and we used to use it as a photo op place. Great. Two great girls. Thankfully, they're both still around. And this is Gouge Knee here. I think this is Ballsack. Yeah, sweethearts. Beautiful girls. Uh-oh, and there's us again. Oh, and there's a great shot. There is... There's Tracy and Patrick. Great satellite dish there. This old car here. I don't remember what kind of car this was. And motorcycles. I don't know where these came from. I don't know why any of this was here that day. But there you go. There's Pat looking real comfortable. He's got his hands the right way. She's just sitting on it like, is this right? Is it going to fall over? Hi. Hi. Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. And that is, as they say, that. So I'm going to finish drinking my coffee, doing my bong hit, and signing off for the day here soon. Now remember, next week is a week from today is the 4th of July. So let's show our patriotism by expressing love and caring about the people around us. Remember, we're all humans. We're all related. All right. If you take away the borders and all of the other shit that we're told is supposed to divide us, we're all the same. We all want the same things. We want to raise our families peacefully. We want to be happy and healthy. We want to be well fed and clothed and taken care of. Sometimes we want to do this for ourselves because we want to have just crazy amounts of everything, and that's fine. Sometimes some of us can't do for ourselves, and we need help, right? And there's a lot of people in this world, there's a lot of people in this country. If we pull together to help each other and to get things done, we can. We can't let those in power divide us, right? I'm not political. I'm not into one party or the other. You can't call me this because I ain't. I don't subscribe to all of those labels that people put on each other so that we can categorize each other and divide us apart, okay? I don't go into that, okay? My main labels are that of human, intelligent human, and kind human, all right? Those are the only things that matter to me if you're human, all right? If you are human, then act like it, all right? Care about each other and take care of each other, right? We're all the same. So what's the problem? Let's just take care of each other. It's pretty easy. Oh, it's easier said than done. No. It's easier done than said. Go to your neighbor. Check on your neighbor. Pay it forward. Check on every neighbor around you. Make sure, no matter who they are, how much you like them or dislike them, what color they are, how they preach, go check on them. Show that you care about them regardless of any of that, right? First of all. And then just be kind. That's all it takes. Pretty soon people will get the idea that none of that matters, that it's just about the people and people being nice to people. That's all that matters. Once we get to that point, all of that other shit will wash away. Okay? Intelligence and kindness and being human to one another. That's all. That's it. Everything else will get better. Intelligence is probably the hardest thing to deal with, because every day you got that phone being thrown up in your face with all that unintelligent crap, right? I can't believe that when I pick up a phone and go, that's not real, that's AI, and I'll hit the video and people will be going, oh my God, how could that really happen? And there's so many people who are chiming in on the comments, because that's what I don't watch the video as much as I read to find out what people are thinking, right? And the amount of people that fall for this stupid AI crap, or fall for these stupid stories, right? Or those videos of completely acted out scenarios. Any intelligent person could see that. And other, high percentage of people are seeing it as real. And that's where the world is at right now. That so much fantasy can be dictated as reality, and they just go for it. Yeah, they're gonna do something. They're gonna have something going on, right? And convince us of something going on, even if there isn't, because we'll buy into it easily. They'll fake some videos and put it out there, and the videos are getting better, and they'll fake it and put it out there, and people will buy into it, right? I don't even know if I believe that the earthquake happened in Thailand, because there are still so many places in Thailand that look untouched. And then so many places that are saying, yeah, but is it real? Is it not? Right? You see a plane crash and you talk about it, and then you don't see about it in the media. And it's like, well, what? Got them. And what are they doing? What are they talking about? If it isn't real, then why aren't we hearing about that it's not real? And, don't worry about it. We're all guinea pigs. We're being tested. We're being programmed and periodically quizzed on whether or not we believe this shit. And more and more people do. And it's horrible. And it's really horrible, because it's getting so easy to pass off this bullshit as reality. So, to recap, human, intelligence, and kindness. That's it. Those that's what we need to worry about right now. Kind-hearted, intelligent humans. That's what we need on the planet. Everything else will fix itself if we just start there. All right? Tell your kid to put down their phone, sit and talk to them, read from a history book written, before this century. Get into learning about things. Just open the dictionary. All right, tonight we're going to read a page from the dictionary. We're going to read 2 pages from the dictionary and their definitions, or the encyclopedia, or something. That used to be a thing, all right? Just sitting and reading the encyclopedia for pleasure used to be a thing. People would carry thoughts and facts around in their heads. Nowadays, people would pick up their phone to get a thought or an idea, or to find out a fact. Before, we used to just know facts in our head and would collect them as like rewards for living. And now, I don't want to think. No way, baby. All right, I'm going in. Remember, 4th of July, a week from today. And on the 4th of July, I'm going to be going live for a long period of time, people. So come check it out, baby. And next week, I don't know what's going on. More of the same. Movies, TV shows, TV movies, music, entertainment, the works. We're going to do a bunch of everything and anything that we can get in squeeze into this period of time. I'm just trying to click back to my show. Where's my show, baby? No, that's the wrong file. Hey, baby. Hey, all right. So, thanks for joining me this week. Be sure to tune in this evening for the video time machine that I just finished. It literally has moments of silence for 7 rest, and then of course last night another one just as I finished the video, another one. I'm like, oh gosh, no more. I'll have to put it in the next week's. So next week's the video time machine finish is where I do the little moment of silence and I show you an actor or celebrity or somebody who's recently passed away, right? So tune in this week. It's a 2-hour episode tonight at 5. You're gonna love it. Ooh, there's my daughter. Time for her to get up. She's got to get ready to go to the forum, and I got to drop her off at about 11. Woohoo! All right, people. Take care. All right, and you know what to do out there. All right, take care of each other's. Be kind. Spread peace and love, not bullshit. Do something for yourself, but do something for somebody else too. Why? Because it's nice. It makes somebody feel good, makes you feel good, makes the world a better place. So just do it. Just do it. Just do it, okay? Take care of each other, people. I can't stress that enough, all right? Most especially stay weird. And these days, caring about your fellow human, no matter who or what you think they are, that's weird. So be weird, all right? Go out there and just do it. Just do it. All right, people, love you so much. Thank you for stopping by. Can't wait to come back next week. And Friday's going to be awesome. I'm going to be here just forever, hanging out and partying. It's going to be cool. Party hats, baby. All right, guys, love you so much. Take care. Adios. Go on, get out of here. Later, Joey.